Hi guys, I'm Payne and welcome back to another video. In this video, I will be analyzing LGD Ame and what he does to make his game better in the mid game. So without further ado, let's get into it. Before we move on to our mid game analysis, there are a few things I want to mention that Ame does in the lane that you could also benefit from. In the lane, Ame's Medusa against the Timbersaw. Once Timbersaw gets a few points in reactive armor and soul rank, he is able to use high armor and high HP regen to frequently cast spells to bully most carries out of the lane. Jungle creeps are buffed in this patch, making it especially hard to jungle without items, levels, or farming abilities, which is split shot in Medusa's case. The 5-minute mark is where most carries are forced to leave their lane against a Timbersaw. This is because Timber is able to keep his siege wave alive versus the tower while simultaneously bullying the carry away from protecting their tower. As you will see here, the Timbersaw is diving the Medusa and he's also doing damage to the tower because he has really high armor and really high HP regen. However, Ame is able to stay in the lane for the next 3 minutes. So how does this happen? To explain that, Ame capitalizes on the fact that Timber leaves his creep wave to farm the creep wave of Radiant that was pulled by the Ogre. Ame realizes this and quickly farms the creep wave under his tower so that the tower can focus on the siege creep and kill it, as you can see here. Killing this siege creep in this fashion was done for several reasons. Timber has high survivability due to reactive armor but very low tower damage. Without the siege creep, it takes him a significant amount of time to take the tower. Medusa can quickly clear the wave with Mystic Snake and Split Shot, but her single target damage is not effective at clearing siege creep, which have high magic resistance and hero attack damage reduction. So if we go back here, you can see that a cart has reinforced, which enables it to take less hero damage, and it has a built-in magic resistance, which is 79%. Due to the cart dying and the tower being not dead, Ame is able to constantly stay in this lane for the next 2 minutes, which allows him to get more levels. As you can see here, he's already level 6. In a minute or two after this wave, he will get level 7. And you can see here that now he has 3 points in split shot, so he can easily jungle. And at this point, he decides that it's better for him to jungle because he's going to get more out of the jungle as compared to staying in the lane. Not only that, even if his bottom tower dies, this creeper will always push into him, which he can de-push later on. Moving on, Ame can be seen farming the jungle area, and as you can see here, he has a few choices here. So he can either go towards mid, or he could farm this camp. So what he decides to do is that he decides to go towards mid. You must be wondering, why is that the case? Maybe he could have farmed this large camp so that he could respawn at the 10-minute mark, and then he could farm it again. So I want you to look at a few things here. The first thing is that his mid laner is a primal beast who's making a move on the map. So when he's doing that, he's also not present in the mid lane to de-push out a wave that will eventually push into his tower and do damage to the tower. And if there's a hero present there, the tower is vulnerable. It can die. And in this case, if Medusa goes there, not only does she get free farm, but she's also reacting to the pressure created by Dyer, and she's kind of a pressure reliever for his team. So his team doesn't have to worry about defending this tower because the Medusa is already doing it. And while doing that, she's also getting the gold and XP that she needs to scale better in the game. You can see here that Medusa is just constantly playing around mid. She's constantly pushing this, which allows the Primal Beast to go and make moves in some other lane because he doesn't have to worry about the mid lane being pressured. So Ame keeps doing that. He farms a triangle. He will be seen coming back to the mid lane to de-push this again. But since he's so far off in the map, the enemy team realizes that he's really far off, and they jump him here. They end up killing him. Moving on, when Ame is about to respawn, you could see a few things there. First thing is that Timber's pressuring this tower, which there's going to be another wave here. If you go to free camera, you can see that there's another wave coming here. So Ame has like a few choices, right? First choice is that he could just wait for this tower to die and then just walk up here, like get 2 waves and farm them. The other choice is that he could go towards the triangle, or he could just walk here and farm this, or even eventually go mid. So what Ame is going to do here is that he's going to instantly spawn and he's going to TP towards the outpost. So now you must be wondering why he didn't go top, why he didn't go mid, and what is the reasoning behind his decision. So if you see his team, you can see that his team is planning to go towards the top area, which means they are planning to react to the pressure that is being created by the Timber, which means they want to defend their top tower. Not only that, if you see that Primal Beast, he has a travel, so he can always join this fight. So if Ame goes here and a fight breaks out, he can't really fight because he doesn't have Stone Gaze, and not only that, he won't be able to get anything to farm here, which it is exactly what he wants to do early on in the game. He just wants to hit creeps. And other than that, if he walks here, he will probably miss out on stacking this camp or even stacking these camps. Because if you see Medusa, she has very low mobility and she does not have any mobility spell like a blink or something to reach in time. And other than that, when 4 of these heroes are here, like you see a fight breaks out, and when 4 of these heroes are here, it means that middle lane is vulnerable. Like no one's going to defend this. Like, and they can also pressure this with some other here, like maybe Tiny can pressure this. But if Medusa is nearby, she can always clear this wave out. And she might even be able to pressure this tower if all of them show top. So this is the reason why he stays here. Like if you see here, he's able to farm much more, and he's also around mid. After the fight at top lane, Radiant ends up losing their top tower. Usually as a carry, you want to farm the Ancients area if the enemy tier 1 is dead. This allows you to also farm these 2 camps while simultaneously farming the triangle area. But in this case, Radiant has failed to take the enemy tier 1 and does not have their own tier 1, yet Ame still chooses to farm the triangle. Why is that the case? To answer that, the enemy team is trying to play in the bot area of the map because there's no objective in the top lane for them, and in order for them to take mid tower, their best course is to win a fight near it rather than directly approaching it. So if Ame stays there to farm, he can't really get much, given that if he tries to push a wave while farming the bot jungle, he can die. Other than that, Radiant top tier 1 tower is dead, which means enemy waves will always push into them, which will exert pressure. So if Ame is nearby, he can always relieve this pressure for his team while also farming it. Not only that, if he plays top, his team can make plays on the other side of the map, which will result in them forcing the enemy on them, which leads to Ame having the luxury to push in top deeper. Other than that, mid is also closer to the triangle, so he can always deep push out mid from this place if required. Moving on, if you see here, Ame is farming his triangle, and while he is farming, there's a fight going on in the bot jungle. Here's the outpost. So this is a very good opportunity for Ame to push in this lane and eventually get this tower because the enemy team won't react to it. Other than that, what he does here is that he instead TPs to the outpost to fight with his team with just a Yasha and Treads, which does not seem that great to me. So the reason behind that is that if his team loses the fight here, that could mean that the enemy gets to take mid tower. They've already lost top tower, which is a way for them to get into their triangle. And if mid tower is also dead, then it's really easy for the enemy team to secure the triangle from them, which will leave Medusa to have no farm in the map. It will be really hard for her to farm anything because if the triangle is gone, then she has nowhere left to farm. They will just close out the map for her. Other than that, this TP was only to ensure that his team has better numbers in terms of the fight and so that they can win. Moving on, here you can see Ame being very deep into the enemy territory thanks to the enemy team taking a fight here. So what you will see here is that Ame pushes this wave in but does not stick around to hit this tower or even push in furthermore, even though there's a fight going on at mid. So there's like a few things that could explain his reasoning for going towards his triangle rather than TPing mid or pushing this lane further in. So if you look at the timer, it's 15:30, which means the map will refresh in 30 seconds, which indicates that the neutrals will respawn in 30 seconds. So as you can see here, Ame has not farmed his triangle yet. So if he goes there in time, he can stack it and potentially farm it 2x. Not only that, if his team loses the fight at mid, that means that the enemy team can potentially take this tower. If he's near his mid tower, he can defend it. And not only that, if you see here, he goes here, he farms this, stack this. Not only that, he uses the Manta Illusion to push this lane out. so that this tower does not get pushed in while his team is farming. So this is like a very galaxy brain move from Ame, which I really liked, because most players would ignore all of this, and he saw this 4 moves ahead. He stacked this triangle, he got like a lot of gold from it. Not only that, he ditched this tower for that. Moving on here, you can see that Ame is farming near his mid triangle, and you can see that here he has a few choices. He can farm this wave, and then he has a few choices. He can either go towards the enemy triangle, he can go towards back to his triangle, he could go here and push out top, he could go here, but what he does is that he moves towards the enemy triangle. What could be the possible reasoning behind that? So if you go back a little bit, possibly here, you can see that there's a fight going on at bot. Just a bit back, there's a fight going on at bot, and he has vision of Tiny. Not only that, he also has vision of stacks in the enemy triangle. So what he does is that he sees that the Tiny did not participate in the fight, so the Tiny is going to be doing 2 things. He will either go back and farm the stacks, or he will just run away. So either way, Ame decides to move towards the triangle, which allows them to farm the stacks, but also force a fight that is in favor of them. So now they end up killing them, and not only that, he also gets the stacks and controls their triangle. This is why invading this triangle was the best move for him. Moving on, if you see here, Ame is shoving in the top lane. While all this is happening, his team is also taking a fight on the other side of the map. This allows Ame to pressure this tower if he wants, but if you see mid, Tiny is already here and he's hitting their mid tower. So instead of pushing the top tower, Ame TPs in mid to defend this tower. Why does he do that? Why can't he just trade this for this? To answer that, if you see this, Tiny hits the tower really hard because of tree grab. Tree grab does additional damage to buildings, 100% additional damage, and Tiny already has a lot of base damage. Not only that, if they lose mid tower, they won't have any access to rush. Like, they don't have the outpost. If this tower's dead, they can't TP here. If this tower's dead, they can't TP here. And if they lose a fight near Roche, they can't buy back in TP if this tower's dead. So having this tower is really crucial. Not only that, he would be closer to his team from this point as opposed to this point. So when he TPs in here, he pushes this out. He doesn't let the Tiny take this tower. Not only that, now he can also join his team here. After this point, if you look at Ame's scores, he's 1-1-3. While his score may look unimpressive, after analyzing this video, it's clear how much impact his movements and decisions had on the game. I hope this was helpful, and I would love to hear your feedback in the comments. If you liked the video, please make sure to subscribe. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching.